What's going on, everybody? It's your man Chris Desir here, back with another video. This is gonna be Zodiac sign breakdowns. And if you haven't been knowing, on YouTube the name is AstrologyUniversellc. On Instagram it's CDESIR100. On TikTok is AstrologyUniversellc because I did make this company a legitimate limited liability company. Astrology Universe is now officially. And well, the platforms I use on Facebook, you can look up Chris Desir. You'll find me. I'm trying to get to a point where I can change all my platforms to have a universal name of Astrology Universe, and then it has a tagline that shows my real name under it, and let it be known it's a limited liability company, but that's in the future. But for right now, this is why I don't post so much anymore on YouTube. I'm on those platforms. What had happened is, if you were following my TikTok account before, I had another one, Astrology Universe Trademark, or TM. That account got taken down, unfortunately, about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago at this point. So now I had to make a new one, and I'm on a slow grind to build it back up. But in that time, I've still been getting readings, blessings. I still get readings. I am now at a point where I am trying to see if I can do this more frequently, but if not, you will still get consistent content out of me on all those other platforms. I post daily, literally daily, to Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You don't necessarily have to follow me on all three because I post the same content on all three of them, but I post daily over there. I post a minute 30 reels giving short astrological breakdowns, and they're very, very informative. So I'm gonna try to get to a point too where I can get those videos and make like a super collage video and start posting them more on YouTube, because apparently I have people that still watch through my YouTube, and I didn't know that. I was actually getting some clients through YouTube, so interesting to find that out. But this is not going to be too long of a live stream, but I'm just going to go into an astrological breakdown. Let me find a proper location where I want to situate myself to give this talk. I don't want it to go out, but all right, I know what I want to do. You're getting a view of the house. Now, this should work. Classic but effective. Okay. When it comes to TikTok, I've been in a lot of live streams. I've been in a lot of live streams where you have to deal with people who ask very interesting questions. Very interesting questions. Some of the questions that they ask pertain to some of life's most complicated decisions that need to be made. What am I talking about? Let me stop being so cryptic. I would join live streams on TikTok, and I still kind of do, for the past week, where they would talk about, oh, should men, for example, want a woman that has multiple children, but he doesn't have his own? Should men want that? And does that necessarily make you a lame? Questions like those, where it would be the focal point or topic of the discussion. And I would sit there, listen to what the commenters would have to say, and some of them would have thousands of views, tens of thousands, some of them even hundreds of thousands of views. And no matter how many views they got, I always could say something in the chat and leave an impact. Always sway the tides of the people's decisions with my words alone. Why is that? Because I am now astrologically based in my mentality and my thought processes. So let me answer that question for you. Should a man want a woman who has multiple children and he comes into the relationship not having any of his own? The answer is it depends. It depends. Because you see, what most people cannot do is they cannot come up with an example on the fly that would meet said criteria. That would meet said criteria. If you're a man, for example, for some reason can't have children anymore, but you want to have kids, wouldn't the best option be get with a woman that already has kids? I mean, you could adopt, but if you adopt, that doesn't necessarily come with a wife. That doesn't necessarily come with a woman. See what I'm saying? People love to group the entire world into a black and white. You either act like me or you don't. You're part of my tribe, my family, my clique, my crew, or you're not. The world ain't black and white like that. Most people have you believe that the world only works in two fashions, maybe even three. But in all reality, you can subdivide the world into 12 equal parts. 12 equal parts. 12 zodiac signs, 12 months in a year, 12 houses. You subdivide the world and all of its problems, all of its questions, all examples, all scenarios, all different types of people, all natural disasters, all times in history. You can divide all of it by 12. An even number, easy. Most people don't know that, and you wouldn't. You honestly wouldn't. So I don't blame people for that. But what would be some of the negative connotations that people would say that for a man doing that? That man is a lame. In modern day society standards, yes, you would be considered a lame for that. I'm not going to hold you down. I'm not going to act like that's not the case. It is societally looked down upon for a man by other men to be doing that. It's looked down upon. But at the same time, people got to realize, or what most people don't realize, is most families in America are mixed. Most of the people in the chat room I would be following would be from America. Even some of them would be from other countries. But most people in America are mixed. Most families are mixed to begin with. So what is your excuse there? Let me give you another example of what I'm talking about. A question they would ask. What's a very good one that they would ask too? This is another one pertaining to relationships. Men would say that women, for example, only want... Okay, here. Men would say that women only want a man's finances, and that's it. And a woman would say a man would only want a woman that's attractive. And people in the chat would be fighting about that. Oh no, here was the example. I remembered it perfectly. Men would say women only want men who make only above a certain income range. And Women would say men would only want women that will only um, perform so well in the bed and are beautiful. And people would fight about that. And I would think, even before I learned astrology, I would think, isn't this already the case? Isn't that already the societal norm? But no, you would have men in the chat screaming or fighting. I'd never, pick a woman just because of her looks or whatever, and da 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 da. And you would have women in the chat. The women were kind of better when it comes to telling the truth about the matter. You would have women in chat, but some women in chat would be like, "Oh no, I definitely, go for a man like a bus driver or something like that." They would say, "Oh, I definitely date a bus driver," but again, that would be the minority of women that would say that. So let's tackle the men's situation first. I remember I ended up making a comment that like shut down the chat for a good like 5 seconds. Like everybody was just like screaming and arguing, and then somebody read my comment, and then the chat had to stop, and then they had to go on again, and then you could hear them change their they. It would be very few chats that I would go into that they would actually mention my name. My name on the account would be AstrologyUniversellc. Like I'm telling you, it would be on TikTok. So few accounts would actually mention my name at first, but I can tell they would read my comment or I could tell they would see my comment because they would read the comment that was immediately posted right after mine, or again, like I'm telling you, they would switch the flow of conversation based around the comment I just made. Around the comment I just made. That in itself is what you call power. Before I get down to giving you the answer, that in itself is what you call power. You're not a direct authority. You are not a direct personnel that people came to listen to, hear their opinions of, get the information from. But yet, when you step into the room, your decision, your words, your weight matters. That is called power. You can make an influence on somebody or something else without directly, you know, being in control of it. And power is Scorpio. Does that mean all Scorpios are powerful? Yes and no, but everybody has Scorpio somewhere in their chart. Because you are not a zodiac sign, you are not your big three, you're the entirety of the chart. The houses, the zodiac signs, and the way that they're ordered, depending on your rising, the sun sign, the moon sign, and all the other planets, north node, south node, mathematical points, all of that. All of that makes who you are. You cannot just read somebody's sun sign and say all Geminis, all Tauruses, all Libras. Can't do that. Just can't. Not possible. But to get back to the answer, I remember the comment I made. The comment I made was, I remember back in high school when I would see dudes and make fun of the fat female all the time. And this got some of the older men with money in there mad. Mad, 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 mad. It would get them mad. Now the people in the comments started to attack me, or started to try to directly at my name and try to be like, nah, that didn't happen. No, 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 no. And I'm just like, I'm a person who snaps back immediately. Snap back immediately with an answer. Because when I'm right, I'm right. And I hit them with this fact. I'm just like, boom, I got bullied. I'm like, boom, I got bullied before. Especially, not too much in high school, but in middle school. A little bit in high school. And it wasn't even direct bullying. It was like, stay away from this guy. He's different. But I'm telling you, I've seen it all. I've seen it all. I have seen it all. And it led to one of the females in the panel that was actually up there giving her points being like, Look what somebody, they directly commented towards me. They're like, look, somebody in the comments already gave the answer. And that woman said something very powerful. We couldn't even see her face because I think her camera was off. But she was like, if I had listened, she said, like, if I had listened to everything and took to heart every comment that I heard growing up in school, I probably would have unalived myself. See how that works? We live, or most people live in Wonderland. That's how I would say in every comment. I would say like two things. I would say cold world or Wonderland. People live in Wonderland. People honestly think the world be sweet 24/7. Or people think just because they're winning right here, right now. That's how the or because they were hurt by a particular person in a particular way that all other people are like that, male or female. See how that works? And it shut them down. Nobody started arguing with me when it came to that point. They had to switch topics after I brought that up. They had to switch topics because I shut down the room. There was no more argument or debate. There was no more argument. They had to shut down the room. Or they didn't shut down the room. They had to switch topics immediately because they had like 5 or 6 controversial topics for them to speak on. That's what I'm saying. I just wait and see and listen. I just listen for somebody to say something that was just out of pocket, you know, straight up wrong, or, who was being facetious, lying. And I had to be like, nope, with my Gemini sun having, truth having ass, I had to be like, no, we're not going to let that slide. We're not going to let that blatant lie slide. No. And how does that relate in the chart? How does that relate in the chart? I'd say, I already talked about Scorpio being power. But anything you say about Scorpio, you can say about Virgo. Anything you say about Scorpio, you can say about the zodiac sign Virgo. Because think about it this way. Virgo points to the working class. Virgo points towards everyday people with their everyday jobs. Please try to make society function without the working class. It's impossible. Therefore, the working class holds power. Wait for a working class individual, wait for a group of working class individuals to go on strike. There's power, Scorpio, in that. Virgo, or I mean Scorpio, has Aries in the first. No. Scorpio, no. Yeah, Scorpio has Aries in the 6th. Virgo rules the 6th house. Virgo has Aries in the 8th. Scorpio rules the 8th. So Scorpio has Aries in the 6th, which is ruled by Virgo. And Virgo has Aries in the 8th, which is ruled by Scorpio. What's the difference? How would I, the astrologer, read that differently if I saw that in your chart? There is no difference. It reads the exact same way. It reads the exact same way. But let's go to a different example too. I was talking about the women and they would want a person. Okay, here was the funny part. This made me laugh as a man. I brought up a point about Kevin Samuel. Did I agree with everything that he said when he was alive? Nope. He relied too much on the Bible. Too much. And he didn't even rely on it correctly. Like, he would cherry pick certain verses and things like that to make his narrative, to make his standing point. So even though he could have been wrong overall about a topic, because if you were to hop on his panel, male or female, while he was alive, if you were to hop on his show, male or female, while he was around, even if you were overall right, because what you were talking about did not, exist within the realm of the rules that he himself set, you couldn't be him, because his entire show and game was built on the rules that he made for himself. It was a perfect system. You don't have to be right. You don't have to be right. You wait for people to come onto your show and see if they can play by the rules or not. Plus, he wasn't into astrology, but the few things that he did say within those paradigms and rules that he had weren't wrong. And in a big, because I used to follow him for months before he died. Well, not, I used to follow him for a good year. Then I stopped watching him for 6 to 8 months, and then I found out he died. So I already figured out I'm not gonna need this person long term, but what I got from him is still applicable. And one of his big things he used to push was this: is just that women in modern society are taught to only want a man that can make more than them and significantly more. Most women want a man that can make 85K and up. And if you would hear the women on his show, dozens to hundreds of different people that would come on his 2 to 3 hour plus live streams, and I would watch all of them. It was serious. It was serious. So one of the comments was, would a woman marry a bus driver? A lot of women would say no. I'm like, okay. But that wasn't really the worst part to me. I mean, if you don't want to marry a bus driver, okay. But why not particularly? It was the money amount. But I let that slide because I'm just like, it's astrologically proven, or it shows up in the astrology, that women, right, need or value their man. Their man is a necessity. Their man has to be their source of resources. The second house is ruled by Taurus. Taurus is resources. But Taurus isn't always the zodiac sign on the second house. Cancer, the zodiac sign, naturally rules the fourth house. What happens if you're a Cancer sun sign or a Cancer rising? That means you have Cancer on the first. So if you have Cancer on the first, what sign comes after Cancer? Leo. That means you have Leo on the second. Cancer points to all forms of woman, but particularly it can also point towards the mother. Cancer women need the second house now from Cancer. The second house points to needs. Women need second house. What? What's the sign that goes there? Leo. What is Leo? Children. They need love. They use that as a resource. They need attention. That's a resource that they need. It's a resource that they need. They need their man. It's a resource. The second house also points towards, if you don't know what I'm talking about when I mean resources, here's a clear, blatant, everyday example. Money. Money. Women in general in astrology are usually given indication by the water signs. It is not the only feminine signs, but the main sign that you usually point towards when you're talking about females will be the 4th house, 8th house, and 12th house. Primarily, number one, always the 4th house. Females. Usually in any school of astrology you talk about. Water always comes before fire in astrology. Water always comes before fire. What is fire in astrology? The man. Mars rules Aries, the first zodiac sign. The man. Manliness. Machismo. action takers. Men are fire signs. What sign comes before Aries? Pisces. Pisces. A water sign. Pisces is belief. It is your beliefs. Think about it this way. If Pisces is the first house, Aries is the second house. Pisces is beliefs. The first house points to I. I believe. I, first house, Pisces, believe. I believe. Okay. What comes after Pisces? Aries. So Aries would be in the second. So if I believe, usually what happens if you believe something? Don't you need to take action on what you believe? Second house, need, action, Aries. Once you have a belief in your head, don't you need to take action, or don't people naturally take action on what they believe? This is astrologically sound. 99% of people don't know this. So when I'm hearing people talk, I can hear the astrology and what the things they say, because everything everybody's gonna say is gonna be astrologically bound. I could hear your zodiac sign through the way you speak. If you speak to me long enough, I can determine your zodiac sign. I could either determine your sun or rising. It's gonna be one of the two. I'm gonna figure it out without even pulling up the chart. Just by listening to you speak for a long enough period of time, I will deduct your sun or rising sign. I'm not good enough to tell the moon yet, but if you get emotional for some reason, I could possibly figure it out. See how that works? Water always is going to need fire. If you want to talk about it element wise, it goes fire, earth, air, water, back to fire again. After water always comes a need for fire. That's just how the world works. That's how everything lines up. I didn't make the rules. But once you come to accept the simple rules, you'll see it everywhere you go. You'll hear it everywhere you go. You'll start acting it out, or see yourself acting it out every single day. So the man to a woman, Cancer to Leo, the child, is a resource, a necessity. A necessity. What's a necessity to a man? What comes after fire? Earth. 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 After Aries comes Taurus. Taurus is the natural ruler of needs, necessity, money, resources. The man needs the world, but the woman needs the man. Let me say that again. The man, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, needs the world. Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. The man needs the materials. Why? Men build things, construct things, Capricorn. Men build things, men perfect things, men have skills, men pride themselves in their abilities and the things that they can do. Kevin Samuels used to say this too. He didn't even know he was speaking astrologically, but he used to say this too. He used to say one of his quotes would be like, if men were to disappear tomorrow, the civilization would fall apart because women couldn't even live or survive by themselves. He wasn't wrong. Does that mean that every woman in the world can't do anything? Nope. That's not what that means. But the majority cannot, no. A woman needs her fire starter. A woman needs her child. A woman needs her education, or her somebody to spark something. She needs that. She needs that. Let's make it a little bit different. Let's make it a little bit different. Let's talk about it again. Let's talk about Pisces again. You know Pisces also points to the church. Now this one is gonna blow your mind if you're not paying attention. Aries. You know Aries points to war, right? Isn't the church or religious organizations known for going to war? Weren't there crusades? Weren't there like the 12 crusades in the Middle Ages? Weren't those a thing? If you were to read the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, whatever book you read, isn't there always a part in the book where, you know, there's a war going on for some reason or another? There was fighting over some land. You see how this works? You read, you're in the religion. The religion makes you go to war. So you, in the religion, water makes you go to war, fire. And you fighting over what? Land, earth. And after it's all said and done, don't you write about it, talk about it, think about it, discuss about it, air? Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. It's right in front of our faces, and it's been there. It's everywhere. But if you don't know what to look for, you're not going to look for it. I guarantee you have been seeing astrological things your entire life. You didn't even know to look for it. It could have been right in front of your face. You could have seen, though, you could have seen blatantly in front of your face the word Virgo, the word Sagittarius, the word Aquarius, like literally right in front of your face, 7, 8 times in your life before you even got to this video. You didn't even know to look for it. I didn't either. I didn't either. It's like the Matrix. You could be in the Matrix, but you could be in the Matrix every single day and not know until you're in, and not know you're in the Matrix until you figure it out. But once you know, you can never go back. It's like taking the blue pill or the red pill. Astrology is like the red pill. Once you know, you never go back. You can't go back. Especially, you could try to like leave astrology, but depending on what you learned, once that energy comes back into your life, you're just gonna, oh no, I'm probably, you just know. You could stop every day now for the rest of your life. You'll know. So a woman needs her man because the man in itself is going to provide the resources for the woman. We live in an era now where women in general have it easier for a plethora of reasons on average to make higher income than men. Men have to deal, especially if you're a black man, but we'll leave it at that. Men have to deal with incarceration. Men have to deal with fighting, murder, killing each other, things like that. Men have to deal with those are the two big main ones. Men have to deal with living up to societal standards, pressure to gain resources in general. Men have to deal with the pressure of gaining resources in general. In general, they have to deal with the pressure of doing that. That women today don't necessarily have to deal with so much, and it's not necessarily the average person's fault. It's actually the elite social class at the top. It's really their fault, but can't do anything about that. Can't do anything about that. Those who already have the resources, Taurus, naturally are going to be able to make the laws, air, Libra, laws, rules, you know, set the trend, tell the story, paint the narrative, all air sign. But this already comes from people who already have it. But this is the part that made me like laugh the most. Because I didn't think women still believed it, but they still do. One guy who was the moderator of the entire chat asked, should a woman raise her standards once she's had a child? And like 9 out of 10 women in there agreed. To a man, every man in that chat lost their shit, including me. I'm not gonna lie. Lost it. And we had to be, I had to go back because he had that, the moderator had that same chat over the course of like 2 3 days. He had like the same prompt pick up, so I had to pop in and out of that chat saying the same things I said all day every day for the next 2 3 days to figure out why, what is their rationale behind that. And it came to the point that what I told you already, women need men to be the source of their resources. They need that fire, they need the spark, they need the energetic one, the action takers, the aggressive ones, the testosterone ones. That is their resource because they don't have that. They need that. It's a necessity. There's an old phrase that people used to say, or men used to say, and it goes like this: women, you can't live with them, you can't live without them. What does that imply? That there's a necessity for them. There's a necessity. Necessity is needed. And the sign that comes before, because we talked about the second house, right? We talked about how Pisces leads into Aries, Aries leads into Taurus, and Taurus leads into Gemini. You get it. But it works another way too. What if you look at it going backwards? What's the relationship between the man going into the woman? What's the relationship between the sun going into Cancer? If you were to look at the chart going backwards, that is what you call a 12th house to first house reading. Pisces, the 12th house, besides pointing towards beliefs, besides it pointing to churches, like I already told you, it also points towards debt, who you are indebted to. You owe this person. You are owed this person. Let me break this down. A child is indebted to their parent. A child, Leo, the sun, 5th house, is indebted to their parent, their mother, their caretaker, 4th house, Cancer, the moon. You are indebted to that person. Action takers, people who take actions, who start things, your motivation comes from your beliefs. Your Aries motivation comes from your beliefs, Pisces. If you don't believe in something, you're not going to do it. Simple as that. If you don't believe in something, you're not going to do it. You either have to wait for somebody to come along to convince you, force you to, manipulate you towards. But if you don't believe in something, your heart's not into it, you're not going to do it. That's why I said there's a necessity, that link between two signs that are right next to each other, whether you're talking about the 12th house going into the first house or first house going into the second house. However you want to look at it. It's called a 30-degree aspect. What I'm teaching you all today, it's called a 30-degree aspect. That is called a karmic aspect. That's what karma is. If everybody was confused about karma, like, oh, I don't know what karma is, that's what karma is. You were born under your mom and your dad. You have light skin and you were born from 2 light-skinned parents. That's karma. Things you cannot change, and it's a direct cause of. These 2 actions cause this reaction. Or this reaction was caused by this action. You jumped off, you were skateboarding, you jumped off a half pipe or whatever, and you didn't land properly, so you broke your leg. That's karma. Karma does not have to be past lives, future lives, spiritual. No. Karma is as basic as that. You were born under your parents. Your skin tone is the one that you are. You were born in XYZ country. Things you cannot control. and you have to deal with. That's karma. So when I try to ask these women, like, why, or every man in the panel is trying to find out why would you want to raise your standards? Why would you want to raise your standards? What do we get the women to admit to? Or what is their rationale? They don't want the next man they get with to be like the first man, somebody who dipped, who left, who wasn't reliable. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. This is why they could say raise their standards. I can get what you mean by that. I can get what you mean by that when you say raise your standards. But if you're a woman and you honest to God believe that a man would want a woman solely based on her personality, you're just wrong. You're just wrong. And I'll give you an example. I use this example too in the chat. I use this example too. A man is vibing, or the man is talking to two women, right? They both have just about the same personality or the same likes or dislikes as the man. One of the women has 2 children. The other one has 3. Which one do you think the man is going to choose? You see that silence? That's the same silence I got. Nobody wanted to answer that. I also asked the male that. Remember I said there are some men that were being delusional too? I asked the dude that too. A dude said, no, I would still pick her, da-da-da-da-da, because of personality. I asked him that exact same question. I tagged his name and everything. I said, one has 2 children, one has 3. Choose. He didn't respond. The dude didn't respond because he know he was wrong. People live in wonderland, especially if you don't know your astrology. You live in wonderland. You think the way the world has worked for you your entire life is the way the world works. No. You are just one entity. And depending on your zodiac sign combinations, there's about 12, maybe even 6, 3 to 4. Depending on who you are, you can have anywhere from 12 to 6 to 4 to even 3 different variations of life. There is no one definitive be-all, end-all way of life. That's not how life works. It never has and it never will. That's not how life works. But it was a great talk that I had with them, because and not only did I help people inadvertently, and it's not like I got views, I got put on the panel, it's not like I got necessarily, I think I got like a couple people to follow me because I was just such a good sport. Because I would defend the women when they were correct, and then I would defend the men when they were correct. I didn't take sides. I was really just trying to impart proper knowledge of how the world works from an astrological lens without bringing up astrology. I was talking to them the same way I'm talking to you all right here and now, just without the astrological jargon, without the astrological breakdown. Because anytime I would even mention by the rules of astrology, I would have to agree or disagree, I would immediately get like 6, 7 comments. Huh? What you mean? What you mean? Huh? Like, I'm not gonna sit there and keep and do that. Like, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time, and it's not on topic. And it's not on topic. And what is my penultimate thing for women in that scenario situation? You can find a guy personality-wise that will mess with you. But to think once you have a child, even one child, I'm not even talking about 4, 5, 6, even one child, If you think you're going to find a man in all forms, shapes, or fashions that are better than the first one you got with when you didn't have a child, you're just wrong. You can find a person you are better off and will more than likely, with so much ease, better find a man who makes the exact same income as the man you were with prior, who will have the standards you need to take care of your child. Because remember, you just need the man. Don't worry about the resources. The man will do that. And there's this idea in society that depending on how many kids you have, you must make X, Y, and Z income. That's not true. That's not true. The black community alone has been impoverished for how many decades, centuries, and yet we can raise all these kids just fine. Sure, you may say they come out with trauma. Everybody comes out with trauma. You can have 6, 7. I know people. You know people. You probably have an example or heard before of a family of like 5 to 10 kids, and they're not like living in a mansion or yachts. And the kids are not like not every single kid in there is like a bum on the street. Or like these societal standards that we keep today are just wrong. They're just idiotic. They don't make any sense. They don't make any sense. Worry about getting a man that will be there for you. Do not automatically think you must raise the bank account of that man. If you do that, you are pressed out of luck. You are pressed out of luck. And it's tough. And it's tough, it's tough, it's tough. It is tough. It is tough. It's tough when you have to have these discussions with people because it's a morale killing. I'm not gonna kill you. It kills your ego. You had an ego about you. You had a sense of how you believed the God works. You had a sense about how you believed you were, how strong you were, how confident you were in the world around you. And I have to do what I have to do. I have to destroy that. I have to kill that. I have to dead it. I have to kill it. I kill people's egos because the truth hurts. But once I kill your ego and you start to sit down, be humble, that's when your life actually starts to get better. That's when you learn to understand people. That's when you learn how to heal trauma. That's when you learn how to heal from trauma. Because so many people would get in the chat and you could just hear the hurt in their voice. All women do this. All men are like that. You can hear the hurt. You can hear it. You could hear the hurt in their voice. And I'm just like, people honestly believe, because again, they're in their ego, that problems only will occur towards them. They don't even have a second thought that other people in the world are going through the same, if not worse, problems than them. As much as I back people in America, we are entitled as hell. Entitled as hell. The average American, even a homeless bum, can have an iPhone, a pair of Jordans, and find somewhere to sleep at night. Whether a YMCA, on the beach, you can find something, food shelters. Go to the Congo. Go to some countries in Africa. Go to Haiti. Go to some parts of the Philippines. We are entitled as people. Entitled. Unaliving rates, suicide rates here, so much higher than over there. You go to other countries over there, they don't even have that word in there. They can't. The world is out to get them. they can't. They can't even cross their mind. They're too busy trying to survive to worry about ending their lives. Only in first world only in first world countries is that a problem. We've made life so sweet that people in general have to create their own problems. What's the astrological meaning behind that? Growth, growing, regeneration, growingness, or the ability to grow would be, you can break it down in a couple signs, but I say growth, or it's a difference. Let's say this. To get better, to get better, you need to be fair. To get better, you need to be fair. To get better is Virgo. Virgo points to perfection, improvement of all sorts and kinds. And remember what I said. Anything you say about Virgo, you can say about Scorpio. After Virgo comes Libra. Libra is fairness. Libra is society. After Libra comes Scorpio. Scorpio is regeneration. It is growth. It is birth. Improvement. If you're trying to improve something, improvement is gonna lead to beauty. Something being liberated. And from that liberation is gonna come regeneration. So let's start it off. Leo being the first, since it's a fire sign. Virgo gonna be earth. Libra gonna be the air. And Scorpio gonna be the water. We're gonna talk about the middle elements, the middle four signs. Leo, you come out like a baby. Leo is also the baby. You come out like a baby. You're ignorant to the world. Everything is love, light, happiness. You don't understand why things the way they are. You just understand it works for you. Then you get humbled, Virgo, once you realize you need to improve on things. When you realize you need to improve. Or when somebody comes along like me and humbles you. But after you're humbled, you learned how to be more fair, how to be more nice, how to be more pleasant. Libra. Libra. And finally, after that, then you go to Scorpio. Now you can start to regenerate. You can start to regenerate now. Because being humbled brings stress. Virgo is stress. Stress can kill you too. Scorpio points to life and it points to death. Anything you say about Scorpio, you can say about Virgo. Virgo is stress. Stress can kill you. When you go from thinking you're the top of the world and then you get knocked off the cliff, that will bring stress. That will bring stress. But once you learn how to handle the stress, you become a much more beautiful person, Libra. You become a much more fair person, Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus. Venus tends to be a benefic planet, or a planet that is good like that. After you bring stress, Libra is also partnerships. Once you are humbled, you can now go into the part of the world that will now accept you based on what you've now learned. Or you can now bring your skills to a particular part of the world, a particular part of society, or bring your skills to a partner that there's that link between. And once you finally do that, now y'all can build something together. Take advantage of what y'all have built together, Scorpio. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. Once you get to breaking it down. Because Scorpio also points to power. Leo points to love, unconditional love. But Scorpio points to power. You don't get power if you didn't go through the stress. You don't get power if you don't learn how to be fair. If you don't learn the law, Libra. Once you learn that, now you have power. Society is Libra. What enforces, what keeps, what does society need? Power. Society needs an ability to, you know, have a grasp on what's going on. How do you enforce the law? How do you enforce the law? People will only respect or follow the law if there's power behind it. And then it goes back again. What comes after Scorpio? Sagittarius. Happiness. Once you finally have a sense of power that was rightfully earned, once you finally have an advantage that was rightfully earned, that brings happiness. Sagittarius. Once you're in a position of power now you can preach to people, you can teach, you can travel. All of that is Sagittarius. But you must pay attention. The cycle continues again, because you went from a water sign, Scorpio, back to a fire sign, Sagittarius. So now that the cycle has started again, once you've gone through your fire phase where you think you're invincible, now comes Capricorn. What is Capricorn? Difficulties, hardships, limitations, destruction. This is why I said there could be bare minimum 3 different ways you can experience life. And I can't prove this just yet, but I do believe throughout your life, depending on what your sign is, some people are going to start off, you know, with hurt or pain and end up winning at the end, or some people are going to start off winning at the beginning and learn hurt or pain at the end. People don't go through life processes at the same time. Not everybody's sad at the same time. Not everybody's happy at the same time. If you're sad, don't you got to go near somebody who's happy to make you feel better? And if you're happy all the time, any little bad thing that happens to you is going to make you feel so much more sad than you got to be. Scorpio is life. Before Scorpio comes Libra. Libra is fairness. Isn't there a phrase that everybody uses? Life is not fair. That's an astrological quote. Life, Scorpio, is not fair. Because we are alive, Scorpio, we are in debt to being fair. Everybody who's alive wants to remain alive. You don't want to necessarily do somebody else wrong that would harm their life. So we have a sense of rules in society. We have a sense of fairness that, okay, I do this, you do that. I keep to myself, you keep to yourself, or you know, I do business with you like this and you do business with me like that. Life isn't fair. Scorpio going back to Libra, or you could say Libra going to Scorpio. And once you get that into your mind, once you sit with it, deal with it, that's how you can progress through your chart. This is how you develop yourself mentally, spiritually, and emotionally as a person. Once you learn how to deal with these things. And this is what is going to make some of life's like most difficult questions or hardest to talk about topics so easy to do it. And I do believe as the world is going more forward, astrology is going to be one of these things that people are going to need on an everyday basis to make the world a better place. And this is one of the reasons why I do it so much. But this has been Chris Azir, 100 Agency. Well, not 100 Agency anymore. Astrology Universe LLC. Find me on all social media platforms. Catch everybody next time. Peace.